Ribeiro-Addy.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. This month we've marked the 73rd birthday of the NHS, and instead of celebrating it and giving it the homage that it deserves, the NHS, one of the very best things about our country, the government have introduced a bill that looks set to ramp up their long-standing attempts to continue to privatise it. Now, I was proud to sign the reasoned amendment in the name of the member for Coventry South, because we don't need private healthcare companies to sit on boards deciding how NHS funding is spent. And we don't need further outsourcing of contracts without proper scrutiny, transparency and accountability. And we don't need the introduction of a model of healthcare that incentivises cuts and closure of services. Forcing NHS staff to implement yet another top-down Conservative reorganisation will take people away from the task of tackling growing treatment lists and coping with rapidly rising COVID cases. What we need to do is fill the 84,000 vacancies we have, and we need a 15% pay rise across the board for our NHS staff. And it's hard to see how ordering a reorganisation such as this, whilst ignoring calls for increased funding and a plan for social care, could be anything other than disastrous. This corporate takeover bill, and that's exactly what it is, will put private companies at the heart of the NHS and actually pave the way to sell off our confidential health data to multinational corporations. Nobody wants to see that. It's going to normalise the corrupt contracting we've seen during the pandemic. The money we spend on our healthcare should go to the services we need and not to the pockets of Conservative Party donors or corporate shareholders. And over the past of the pandemic, we've seen what this outsourcing and privatisation has meant in practice. Contract after contract awarded without competitive process, and people being failing contracts. All these deliveries failed on again and again and again. Now the government want to open new ways up for this to happen, and they have just done this throughout the pandemic already. Now let's use what's happened with track and trace, a complete disaster in the hands of Serco, a system which has been so ineffective that recently MPs concluded that it had no clear impact, a £37 billion system with no clear impact. After a decade of cuts, it was our NHS, all of the staff, all of the volunteers that led the vaccination rollout, and it has been a success, and it has been their success, not the government's success. And that's an example and a lesson that we can learn of exactly what happens when you give the NHS the funding it needs. But this bill does nothing to do that. We don't need more overpaid consultants involved in the NHS. We need to value the staff that we have there already and put the investment in it that we have seen make the vaccination programme a massive success.